Hello everyone and welcome to the new video. There was a bit of time between the last one, and this was because I totally forgot how the email address of this YouTube channel was, and so I ran into some problems and I had to wait for around 6 months to be able to recover it. And today we are going to look for this. We are still in the beginner part and we are going to take a look at the 3 or 1, I need to look how far I can get in this video, Linux fundamentals of Tryhackme. So I have resetted the entire room. Last time I did the really complicated way in disabling all the answer files, but that wasn't really a good idea. So let's see, if you are new to Tryhackme and you are not subscribed yet, you can only activate 1 attack box per day. So I guess you should subscribe because it's definitely worth it. And if you're completing this way, you can even get an award called Cat Linux. And you will later on find out what catlinux.txt does. So, but without further ado, we are going to start the very first introduction. Welcome to the first part of the Linux Fundamentals Room series. You're most likely using a Windows or Mac machine. Both are different in visual design and how they operate. Just like Windows, iOS and macOS, Linux is just another operating system and one of the most popular in the world, powering smart cars, Android devices, supercomputers, home appliances, enterprise servers and more. We'll be covering some of the history behind Linux and then eventually starting your journey of being a Linux wizard. This room will have you running your first command in an interactive Linux machine in your browser, teaching you some essential commands used to interact with the file system, introduce you how to users and groups work on Linux. So, this 3-part series here I would recommend you to study, because all you do in capture the flag will eventually lead you to Linux or in some cases even Windows. But you will need to know those stuff because it will make your life way easier and you will have less of problems if you already know the most of the commands here. So we are going to click on completed because we read this. A bit of background. It's fair to say Linux is a lot more intimidating to approach than operating systems such as Windows. I have to say something about this line. Sure, Linux needs you to practice. You can't do Linux without practice. It's not working. Linux is complex, but it's complex in a very good way. So it's not like Windows where you just point and click and click and click and everything happens on their own. Linux can be a pain in the ass from time to time. I can't really deny that because from time to time Linux is really hard to use. But if you know the basics, then you don't have this struggle. And let me tell you something very clear from the beginning of this thing. Sometimes CTF machines can be a huge pain in the ass, because sometimes if you're stuck, you're going to read a write-up, but this write-up might or might not be well written, so you get even more stuck, and this can lead to frustration. That's normal. Both variants have their own advantages and disadvantages. For example, Linux is considered much more lightweight, and you would be surprised to how much there's a good chance you've used Linux in some form or another one day. Linux powers things such as websites, car entertainment, point of sales, critical infrastructures, and so on. Flavors of Linux. The name Linux is actually an umbrella term for multiple OSs that are based on Unix. Thanks to Unix being open source, variants of Linux comes in all shapes and sizes, suited best for what the system is being used for. For example, Ubuntu and Debian are some of the most commonplace distributions of Linux, because it is so extensible. In exception, you can run Ubuntu as a server, such as websites and web applications, or as a fully fledged desktop. For this service, a series we're going to use Ubuntu. Yep. In normal cases, if you start the attack box, you will have Kali Linux. But I believe Kali was based on Debian, but I'm not really sure about that. Ubuntu servers can run on systems with only 512 MB of RAM. Just think about this one. Only 512 megabyte of RAM. As far as I remember, Windows 7 and 10 both have a minimum amount of, let me guess, 4 gig of RAM? I think so. Windows XP was, I guess, 512, but I don't really know. Similar to how you have different versions. Windows version 7, 8, 10, there are many different version distributions of Linux. Yep, there are tons of Linux versions. So, research. What was the first release of the Linux operating system? As we can see in this little text, it doesn't stand. So, what I suppose you to do is the following. Copy this. Yes, I have a German Windows because I am German. So you click on here should stay copy, and then you're doing this. And then you see 1991. I roughly believe that this question is supposed for you to do some research. One of the very first thing you will learn in CTF is research is the most important thing you will need to do. You completely can't skip research. Interacting with your first Linux machine, and this is what we're going to do now. We are clicking on Start Machine. I honestly hope that you can see my mouse cursor. If not, I need to check this later in the video. And after that, we are going to type in our IP that we get. So you see, IP address shows in around 40 seconds. Here will be an IP address, and we need this IP address to insert it in the attack machine. As soon as we did this, we can use this attack machine to do our little CTF. And that is something that we want to do. And I'm completely out of water. Congratulations. So, it takes around 2 minutes to actually deploy the machine, but if you're using the OpenVPN client on Linux, it's a bit, but not necessarily faster. So if you're using the OpenVPN on Debian, like I do, you're only firing the VPN, which takes roughly 5 seconds, and then you're going to deploy the box. In some cases it can happen that Tryhackme tries to force you to use the web box. If you don't want this, like I found out like 4 days ago, you can use this pointy stuff here, this access split view, and then you can use an RDP software, so remote desktop client software. In some cases this is even necessary to serve some boxes, like I found out. Alright, we have these few things to do. It's not as much as I would like to see, but we have 3 rooms. I don't know if I do all 3 rooms in one stack, or if I will do them one by one, because some of these rooms can be challenging. If you're completely new to Linux, this might be a problem. So what you here now see is a shell, more or less. I guess shell. To defend myself, I don't know the correct terminal of all of the things I see here, so I would roughly call this a shell or a terminal. So completed, because we fired up. Next thing, running your first few commands. As we previously discussed, the large selling point of using OS such as Ubuntu is how lightweight they can be. This of course doesn't come without its disadvantages, where for example often there is no GUI, the graphical user interface. So let's make a shortcut here with this sentence, because most people coming new from Infosec are really familiar with Windows, so they can click on things, you can drag things around and stuff like that. Linux and CTF will more or less be completely in shells on terminals, so you should start working in this, so you know that if you started with this, you will find that from the beginning on it's really complicated to do that, but it will come in familiar and handy short after. Or what is also known as desktop environment that can be used to interact with the machine unless it had been installed. A large part of interacting with this system is using the terminal. What you also need to know is Linux is more or less a huge terminal or shell, but it's not like when you're downloading Debian or Ubuntu or Kali or Arch. Okay, Arch is a bad example. That if you're downloading them and installing them, you will have a GUI pre-installed that you chosen, but you won't get into a screen where you only use everything except in GUI. I hope I taught that right. So the terminal is purely text-based and is intimidating. My English is bad today at first. However, if we break down some of the comments, after some time you quickly become familiar with using the terminal. Exactly. We need to be able to do basic functions like navigating to files, output their contents and make files. The commands to do are self-explanatory, once you know what they are, of course. Let's get started with two of the first command, which I have broken down in the table below. First of all, the echo command. I will show that to you. So you need not caps lock. You need echo. You do this symbol, then let's say hello world, and then this, and then Linux will output what you gave them. So this is just an output that you can get in the terminal. That's the echo command. I don't want to spoil you too much because that could be a bit irritating, but later on, if you're a bit more familiar with Linux, you will see the following: echo, hello world, and then stuff like this, for example. This literally means you want to output hello world into a file called test.txt. If you do this, and then we see here that we have text.txt with hello world inserted. This is not really what this task is about, but I want to show that to you so that you know, alright, okay, there we have something. This cut that you saw earlier, I don't know where exactly it was. Let me take a look. There was some things here with cuts, I guess, or not. Okay, I thought there was something here with cut. Whatever. Cut makes you give out the content of a file. Alright, then we have who am I. Find out what user we are currently logged in as. Who am I? No, that was wrong. So we have the user Tryhackme. In normal cases, what who am I will output will also stand before this @ symbol, because it's the currently user that uses your box. So if we wanted to output the text Tryhackme, what would our comment be? Quite easy if you think. Echo Tryhackme. Sometimes Tryhackme does this funny thing where it's extremely case sensitive and you're what the fuck? Sorry, I was just a bit confused because if you want to output the text, remove the quotation mark. Okay, my bad. I was not that wrong, but I wasn't right either. Yes, you need to remove this little funny quotation masks so that the request will be accepted. What is the user of user you currently logged in as your deployed Linux machine? It is the user Tryhackme. As you saw, we did the command who am I, and the output was Tryhackme. So, interacting with the file system. Oh, I guess we will only do one room in this video. So far we've only covered the echo and who am I comments. Not all that useful when you're considering things that we need to do, including navigating the file system, read and write to it as well. In this task we are going to learn the commands so that we can use just that. Just like the previous task, I'll display the command in the table in the next heading and show examples of the commands being used. Interacting with the file system. As I previously stated, being able to navigate the machine that you're logged into without relying on the desktop environment is pretty important. After all, what's the point of logging in if we can't go anywhere? I must check something. Okay, so let's see what we have here. We have the ls, the listening command. This will be your best friend from time to time. What does ls do? First of all, I'm going to clear this so that we are seeing something. ls does the following. It shows you the content of your current folder, but this view isn't the best, so I would recommend you to do something like this. So there you can see the permissions of the files in the folder and the people who owns that, the creation date, the size, and lastly the names of the things. So there might be cases where when you're going to a directory and you are supposed to see something, you're not really seeing something. If that happens, don't get in panic. You're doing something like this: ls dash l was it la or la? I guess stuff like this. Now you are seeing everything, including the hidden files in the directory. If you're doing this, you will have it way better. So then cd change directory. Yep, let's say we want to access folder 1. So we go cd folder 1. I should type it really. I should type it right. Yep, my typing is not that bad and not that good. And now we have folder 1. Cut. We already seen cut. I can show it to you. We just created a file, and this file, I guess it was test.txt. We're going to cut it, and now it's outputting hello world because we wrote hello world in this file. pvd print working directory. If you're getting stuck and you don't know in which directory you're currently at, you do pwd and it shows you the current archive, the current folder you are in. Here, all of this here gets explained a second time. I will skip this because I just showed all of this to you, and we are heading right to the things. On the Linux machine that you deployed, how many folders are there? Let's check. We are going to ls-l, and there we see 4 folders. So we have 4 folders. What directory contains a file? We are going first of all to folder 1. Do we have a file in there? Nope. Next we go to folder 2. File in there? Nope. Next we go to folder 3. File in there? Nope. Which means that more or less obvious it will be in folder 4. So what is the contents of this file? Let's see. Cat node.txt. That's quite funny, I guess, because I just did the exact same. Hello world. Use the cd command to navigate to this file and find out the new current directory working. What is the path? So we are in this directory and we want to know the path. So we click on the pwd, which brings us to this. I am not really sure, but I can't really copy it, so I will just go and do the following. Tryhackme folder 4. And now we did this, and this is already done now. So let's make a quick recap. What did we learn? We learned, first of all, ls, so we can actually list the content of some folders. cd, the change directory folder. Cat, output the stuff that are inside of files. You will later on learn another way to do this. And pwd, print working directory. Alright, searching for files. Oh, now it gets funny, because the find command will be your most best friend. Okay, I just need to check how much we have to do left. Although it doesn't seem like it so far, one of the redeeming features of Linux is truly how efficient you can be with it. With this said, you can only be as efficient as you're familiar with it, of course. As you interact with OSs such as Ubuntu over time, essentially comments like those we've already covered will start to become muscle memory. One fantastic way to show how efficient you can be with systems like this is using a set of commands to quickly search for files across the entire system that our user has access to. No need to constantly use cd and ls to find out where it is. Instead, we can use commands such as find to automatically things like this for us. So, find is one of your most important friends. You will need find. You can't really get around it. I won't read all of this because I will show it to you. Let's say you are right now again in the folder we started. Let's say we are in home Tryhackme, and we want to know now where our file is. The file was called, I need to check again, wait a second, node.txt. alright, node.txt at this time. Now let's say we want to search for it efficiently, so we go to find, then we are saying where we want to search. In our case it's dash, so find will start at the root directory and quickly searches through the entire Linux. Then you type in -type f because you want to search for a file, and then you go to name like this. What I recommend you to do now is the following: go to then this dev null. Why that? Because I will tell you now what we did. First of all, we used find, then we typed the dash because we want to start at the root directory, then -type f because we want to search for a file. File is f. Then we have name, where I said star. I did something wrong here. So star.txt. So show me all files with the extension .txt from your file system. And then I said to dev null, which means all negative or error stuff goes at the trash. We don't need it. We don't want to see it because on your Linux, typically most of the folders have read and write permissions. And if you can't access it, it will cause an error. And with to dev null, you can skip these error files. So, and I did something wrong. Yep, I see what. My bad. We need to do this. This will take a bit, but after that you might need to find it. Yep, home Tryhackme test.txt. Alright, he should have found 2 files. I guess that's strange. Let me take a look at this. Did I do something wrong? Nope, he's just strange. Okay, and so this is practically what here is explained, but I don't want to read all of that because sometimes it's easier to show it to people instead of just reading all of this. This is exactly what I showed to you. He, in this example, does it easy without the def null, but I would recommend you to read and to learn this as soon as possible. Using grep. Alright. Grep. We are still in our folder. Yep. We want to search for, let's say hello in test.txt. And it won't output us anything. Am I doing something wrong? Yep. No, I'm not doing something wrong. This is okay. This is quite strange. So, what we have here is another great utility. That is a great one to learn about is the use of grep. The grep command allows you to search of the contents for files for specific values that we are looking for. Take for example the access log of web server. In this case we have access log of web server has 224 entries. So let's see how many entries our self-created file has. 1, because we have only 2 words in this. WC stands for word count. Alright, let's continue. Now we are going to use grep and do what he wants us to do. So we started with grep, then we are typing in the stuff we want to search, and then we are going to tell grep the file that we want to search in. But it won't output anything at all. This is strange, but okay. The access log has THM stuff. Ah, here we have it. THM access. And then we have, and I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Yep, it's quite easy. If you understand it one time, you will understand it anytime. I still don't know. Ah, I know what my problem was. I was a bit dumb. I need to do this. Wait a second. I need to check this because case sensitive. Yeah, Linux is extremely case sensitive. Come. Oh, I just realized something. Now it's working. I had typed in the header with 3 L's instead of 2. I don't know why. And if you're ever coming to a situation where your terminal is full of comments, use this. It's called clear. It's clearing up your stuff. So these 4 things will be your greatest friends. First you have the AND operator, and then the greater than and the double greater than. And in our case, we will now look how these 4 operates. Operator AND. This operator allows you to execute command in the background. For example, let's say we want to copy a larger file. This will obviously take a long time and will leave us unable to do anything else. So you're using this one and you're going to run programs in the background so that you can still use your terminals. And this shell operator is a bit misleading in the sense of unfamiliar to its partner. Unlike the AND operator, we can use AND to make a list of commands to run. For example, let's say you want to use touch and attach hello world.txt and echo hello words into hello world.txt and cut hello world.txt. If I haven't done anything wrong, then this works. Yep. Now we created a chain of comments that we can execute one after another, and because of this operator we can use any of them in the exact same time. So operator we already sorted here. I did this here with echo hello world to hello world.txt. We are outputting our hello world into this file. There's something that you need to know about this one and this one, because you know we have created the hello world, which outputs us hello world. If we're now going to say echo hello world 2 and do so I missed something here, hello world 2, and echo this to hello world, then we are going to get hello world 2, but the original hello world is missing. So let's say we want to have both, then we're going to do this exact same thing but with double of these, which appends the hello world to this, and now we have two of them. It's quite important to understand that the first of those things replaces and the second appends this. If you want to run a command in the background, what operator would we want to use? This one. If I wanted to replace the contents of a file named passwords with the word passwords, what would my command be? Echo passwords 1 2 3, but we want to replace it, so we're doing it like this. And now if you want to add Tryhackme to the file name passwords, but also keep passwords 1 2 3, this means we want this one. This is what I just explained to you. Not replacing, but additional inputting. Now use the deployed Linux machine to put these into practice. We just did this. Conclusion and summary. Nice work on getting to this stage. We have covered quite a bit of your first interaction with Linux. However, these are the most essential functions you're going to be using whenever you interact with the Linux machine. And now he's going to tell us stuff that we're going to learn in the next 2 rooms, but I guess it's enough for today. At this point, a huge thank you to credited by Tryhackme and Sematic. Huge thank you to these two for creating such an awesome room. And we are finished, and we are going to do these two later on. But I guess from now on you are done with this room, and we are going to see us in the next video, and I will try to speak even more fluent. Sorry, it's my first English video since like 8 months. I'm not that used to English anymore, but we're going to see us in the next video. I hope you're enjoying. See you soon. Bye.